Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar for technical support, setup, and promotion for Work That Reconnects facilitators. Silvia de Blasio and myself, delAmor, are facilitating this webinar for you so that you can learn how to create online offerings for the Work That Reconnects during this time of physical distancing and the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's all just take a moment to take a nice deep breath in together and arrive here together in our bodies, in our seats, and with our presence. Okay. We're going to start out with a simple tech orientation to Zoom, because some of you may be very familiar with Zoom, but some of you it might be a brand new platform for you. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what you're seeing on your screen so that you know how to control the features on Zoom. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to rename yourself in your video so that we can see your first name and your city and country. Is probably a good platform or a good format to use. So in order to rename yourself, you can do two things. One, you can hover your cursor over your face, like use your mouse to put your cursor right on your nose. And if you do that, you should see a little blue box with 3 dots appear in the top right-hand corner of your little video square. If you click on that, you'll have a drop-down menu there, and one of the options is rename. So you can click on that and type in your first name, your city, and your country. If for some reason that doesn't work for you, the other thing you can do is go to the bottom of your screen where you might see participants and click on participants. Then you'll see a list of everybody who's in the call with us today, and you find your name. If you click on your name there or just hover over your name, it'll show you an option to rename yourself. So everybody take a moment to try that out. Put your first name, your city, and your state. Great, it looks like a lot of people are able to do that. Wonderful. Great, and so now we've already accessed 2 of the important places to get your features in Zoom. One is that top corner of your video where you see the 3 little dots, and the other one is along the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer. You'll see along that bottom menu, mute, a stop or start video, participants, and chat. Of course, mute means you can mute or unmute yourself there. We ask everybody stays on mute while we're doing the class, unless it's a question and answer time, and we ask you to go ahead and ask your question, then you can unmute yourself. This is where, right next to that where it says stop video, that's where you can stop your video, and that'll just give like a blank screen for your little square. So if you don't want to be seen during the recording, you can do that there. If you click on participants, it opens up your list of participants, and under the list of participants, you're going to see a couple of options that we'll use throughout the class, where you can raise your hand. There's a little hand that you can click on, or you can say yes or no. So we'll get back to those later. And then if you click on chat, that opens up the sidebar for the chat. And we ask that you do that so that you can see when we put things in there, and also that you can use it. Please refrain from having kind of complicated side conversations while we're teaching, because we're going to really try to stay focused, even though that's really hard to do on the computer and in Zoom. But we're going to try to stay focused on the material and the main conversation. But there will be times when we ask you to put something in the chat, so that's the place to do it. You can type something in and it goes to everybody, or right next to the 2 above where you type, you can click on that and choose one particular participant to privately message them. So if you need any tech support during the call, if something's not working right for you, or you need to communicate with me or Silvia, then you can just communicate privately to us there. If one of us is teaching, please contact the other one, because we won't be able to respond to you right away if we're in the middle of talking. So let's see. Oh yes, and then the other thing to bring your attention to is in the top right corner of your whole screen, you're going to see either a little Rubik's Cube kind of looking thing, or where it says speaker view. And so you can click, switch back and forth between gallery view and speaker view. Gallery view is where you see all the little squares of people on your screen, and speaker view is where you see one big picture of the person who's speaking. Because we have so many people on the call today, and because it's going to be a webinar where we're delivering a lot of information, we suggest that you use speaker view so you can keep track of who's talking. Okay, so I think that is it. Main thing to understand is that technology is glitchy, it's complicated, it can be anxiety producing, so we're doing our best here, and we know that you're doing your best, so we'll just figure it out as we go, and please let us know if you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Jo.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to present is the agenda, what we are going to be doing today. So we are going to do a very brief check-in, and the instructions and orientation were done already by Jo. We're going to see how to access online resources from the World of Reconnects website, an overview how to set up an online webinar or online offering, an overview how to run an online offering. We are going to have a movement break so you can do anything that you need in between. And the workshop or the webinar is going to last for 2 hours. And then we will see in the second part a practical tutorial of how to do that, how to apply all what we learned in the first one. So I think I'm covering everything here, and I would like to know from you if you can put in the chat in one word what you want to learn today or how you're feeling in just one word in the chat.
So this is our version of doing a check-in because there's so many people. So sometimes you have to adapt things that you normally would do in a workshop to be able to work in an online platform. So we're seeing connect, technicalities, tired, curious, break up in small groups on Zoom, anticipatory, relaxed, delivery, group call, excited, wakeful, curious, I feel good, wonderful, numb, valid, small groups on Zoom, technical assistance. Wow. Nature connection while on the computer. Great question.
I see somebody out there with a dog walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's possible.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, great. So we are coming from a lot of different places and from a lot of different feelings with a lot of different needs, but we're going to cover a whole bunch of that during the next 2 hours. First, we're going to take a moment to really drop in together. And now that everybody has arrived and we've gone through our kind of orientation, we're just going to take some time to settle into our bodies. Take some nice deep breaths. Go ahead and get yourself really comfortable. And following your breath, just tune in to your inner world, your inner sense of presence. We, as Work That Reconnects facilitators, are gathering here in this unprecedented time on planet Earth, this unprecedented time for humanity, in this potentially new and uncomfortable venue of being online together. But we are still fully in our bodies. We are still fully connected in with the living earth and with each other across distance. At this time, more than ever, this work is needed. And so I ask you to just connect in with that core in yourself, that knowing, that thing that drew you to this work and that commits you to this work. And to have that help you through this next 2 hours to stay focused and connected and to ask the questions that you need to ask and receive the information that you need so that you can bring this work to your communities. Silvia and I both work for the Work That Reconnects Network, and this is an offering that is presented by the Work That Reconnects Network. We've gotten to know each other. We met each other through the Facilitator Development Program, the Spiral Journey, that is offered from Constance Washburn, Mutima Imani, and Molly Brown. So was that 2 or 3 years ago we met in our study circle, and we've been working behind the scenes to support that program and the network for these last couple of years, and have had lots of different opportunities to experiment and learn online together. Silvia, is there anything that you want to say about us or you?
No, I think you summarized pretty well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've never met each other in person, but we know each other very well, and we help each other out a lot. So as I said before, the need right now for the Work That Reconnects online is huge, and that's why you're all here. You all know that. We are receiving a lot of emails and a lot of communication at the network that is that led us to create this. We know that there's a need, and we know that people need support in knowing how to do this in a practical way. So this offering here is a response to all of that. We also are in the process of creating an ongoing webinar and cafe program from the network. And I'm going to tell you more details about that at the end of the call. But that will kind of be a continuation and a follow through with this, as well as a webinar that is going to be offered on the 7th and the 9th from Mutima Imani and Constance Washburn. That will take the next step. It's almost like part 2 of this workshop. So we're going to cover all the tech stuff, and then they're going to cover how to adapt practices to an online setting and how to stay connected in a Work That Reconnects way while you're online. This webinar here is not going to be like a Work That Reconnects gathering. It's not going to be like lots of sharing and lots of connection. And we have right now 50 people on the call with us. So we're going to talk about how to do Work That Reconnects online, but it's going to be a little bit more like a class where we're delivering a lot of information. So just to warn you about that. But we're going to break it up and use all of our tools that help us stay engaged and interactive, so that you can see how they work, and you can kind of imagine how you might do that if you had a smaller group and you were going through the spiral of the Work That Reconnects. So as you begin to think about offering the Work That Reconnects online, we from the network really want to encourage you to connect with the communities that you're already connected with. So your local, regional groups, maybe networks and communities that you already have a relationship with. There are a lot of online offerings that are going kind of, big global reach. And more the need is, how do we deepen connection with those that we're already in connection with? And how do we provide support at this critical moment for people that we know already that need that support? So that's just kind of a suggestion from the network. Okay, so that's the intro part. Pass it over to Silvia.
Jo. Thank you. So I'm going to first start to show you where in the website you can find information and resources to run your webinars online. And for that, I'm going to use one function from Zoom that is sharing a screen, something that we will see later on. So can you all see this, I hope?
Yes.
Perfect. So when you are a facilitator in the website, you will see from inside the website, you're going to see the page like this. So you're going to see things that people don't see normally in the websites. For example, you can list your events, you can submit blog posts, submit resources, and you obviously can update your profile. So those are things that you can only see if you're a facilitator in the website. The website also has many different options for you to look for resources. So if you click here on resources, you will see that they are all organized by type of resources. And you will see audio books. The ones that are not clickable is because we don't have them there yet, but we are uploading those. So you will see music, you will see training videos here for those of you who are starting with the Reconnects. You will see practices and the different practices organized by the spiral. Another thing that you can look at when you go to the website, you can post events. So if you are listed as a facilitator, which is something very easy if you already have some experience and exposure to the world of Reconnects, let me put this as a picture. So your events are going to list here. And people will see the different things that you're offering so they can register. You can post either paid or free events, ongoing events, online events. And sorry, my dog likes to walk when I'm sharing this. I don't know why, but she likes to walk. Okay, so, and the other thing that you will see if you are not a facilitator in the website, can you see this on different page right now? How to become a facilitator?
Yes.
Okay, so if you click here at the top, when you are not inside the website, you will see all the information about how to become a facilitator. And that information also has linked to different resources, from books to self-assessment, to courses that are being offered by experienced facilitators, to the actual application. Okay. Okay, I think I didn't miss anything, Joe, right?
Actually, could you go back and show them the main COVID response page with all of the resources?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, that's one of the main tools that we are creating that right now for you. And if we go here to the main menu of the website, you will see this this part here that says COVID-19 support. We are updating this part every week with more and more resources. So right now we have the links to the webinars that you're taking and the webinars that are coming next week. We also have guides, and we have a lot of information here about how to set up webinars and how to run them. And all is, you know, obviously with the World of Reconnects in mind. Okay. And don't worry about taking too many notes. We're going to send a follow-up email with all these resources and all the links, including this video, the recording. So now I would like to know from you, how many of you have been attending Zoom or online meetings before that are not from learning, that are more about emotional support or emotional experiences? And you can use, remember, when you go to participants, you will see that you have a yes, a no, and a hand. So you can raise your hand if you have attended. I can see some hands already. Perfect. So some of you have already attended, and some of you have the physical hand up. Because you are 50 people, I cannot see all of you in the same screen. But when you are a facilitator and you have so many people, you can see in the participants area, you will see all the hands there. Okay, great. So my next question is,
Silvia,
yes?
somebody asked to say the question again. Can you?
Yes, so the question is, how many of you have actually participated in an online session that is not educational, is of emotional nature? So either the World Reconnects or any other practice that is more into emotional sharing emotional practices. So if you can raise your hands again so you can see. Great.
Great. A lot of people, maybe
A
more
lot of
so
people.
recently, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And my next question is, how many of you, and in this case, you're going to use the feature yes or no, have you been the facilitator in any one of those offerings, or have you been an online facilitator before? So you can put the yes or the no so we can see how many people say yes or say no. Okay. So when you are the facilitator, you're able to see how many, for example, I have 18 people who say yes and 19 people who say no. So that means that I'm missing some people who haven't voted because
Oh,
we
and
have,
some people are putting in the chat.
some people are putting in the chat, exactly. Okay. So those are functions that we're going to see how they look like when we send you the materials and when we go to the tutorial. But right now, those are things that you can use to take the temperature of the groups. Okay. Good. I think it's you, Joe, now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go through a little PowerPoint that's going to be an overview of how to set up your online offering. And how do I make that full screen? Here we go. Can you see that, Silvia? Okay, I'm assuming you can see that. Let me know, Silvia. So this is
Sorry, I was mute. I was
that's
saying
okay.
yes, yes, but I was mute. Yes, I can
Okay,
see that.
perfect. Okay, so when you're getting ready to create an online offering, of course, the first step is to plan it. So you need to consider a few things before you start out. Your first considerations, the very first consideration is to design content that meets a clear need for the intended participants. So like I mentioned before, a best practice is to connect with people that you're already connected to and to meet a need that you see arising in real life, an actual need. So if you can see that people that you know in a particular group are in need of work that Reconnects support, a place to share their feelings and to move through the spiral, then you can design content that directly meets that need. The next is to schedule. Choose your date and time, and because you are already connected to the people who you are offering this program to, you can think about what are their needs and their availability as far as date and time goes. And we highly recommend not going over 2 hours in an online offering. It is a lot to be on the computer and paying attention for 2 hours. So that's our recommendation, 2 hours or less. Then you want to choose your online platform. And there are several different online platforms that you can use, and depending on your group and their accessibility and everything, you might consider different options. We suggest Zoom because it's what we're comfortable with, what we use most often, and a lot of the suggestions in today's call are going to be kind of Zoom oriented. But if you choose a different platform, you can kind of translate many of these things to your platform. So you have to just figure out what is best for you and your participants. And then we really recommend having a co-facilitator and or a tech support person. As you can see, the way Silvia and I are doing this, it's really helpful to be able to check in with somebody, to know if everybody can see the screen share, or to have somebody answering tech questions while you're teaching or while you're holding space and facilitating. And especially if you're new to this, it's really helpful to have somebody else there with you, maybe somebody with more experience than you in the tech arena. Okay, so the next step is to plan your registration process. This can be very simple or it could be more complicated. It depends on your offering. You want to decide first if it's going to be a free offering or if you're asking for a payment, if it's going to be by donation or sliding scale. And of course, that needs to be relevant to your participants. And then you have to decide, how are people going to sign up? You can have a small group where you're just emailing and they're responding to you by email, these are people that you know closely if you're not promoting it widely. If you want to promote it, you might need to think about how can it be kind of a streamlined or automatic registration process. You can actually use Zoom to register participants, and there's two different ways. It could be either an open or a closed registration. An open registration, you just share the link, and anybody that has the link can join. Closed is where you send them a registration form and they have to register to receive the link. If you're going to receive payments, like we did for this one with the donations, it could be sometimes helpful to use something like Jotform. Jotform is something you have to pay for, but it also streamlines the whole process pretty nicely. So you just have to weigh out what kind of offering you're doing to decide which registration process you're going to use. And then you want to decide what information you need to know about your participants before they arrive at your offering. Do you want to know where they're from? Do you want to know what kind of experience they already have with the work that reconnects? Do you want to know anything about how they're feeling in this moment of the pandemic? Is there a question that you would like for all of them to answer before they join you? One best practice that we find, especially if you're working with people that you don't know yet, is to create a social locator, which is basically just a series of questions so that you get a sense and an idea of kind of the identity of the people in your group, so that you can make sure to be as inclusive as possible with your language and your approach. So that might include having people optionally answer questions about race, sexuality, socioeconomic status, and just so that and to phrase it all in a way so that you're saying, these questions are so that I can gear the offering more specifically and respectfully to the widest group of people that are going to be here. And then the other thing you want to find out is think about is what information do your participants need from you before the session? Do you want them to bring a journal and a pen? Do they need to read something before they come? And so all of those things can happen in the registration process when your emails are going back and forth, when you give them their confirmation email, like we did with you, and we said, please bring a pen and a notebook for this session so that you can take notes. So that's a place where you can have that communication. And then you want to promote your offerings. So you want to figure out how are you going to connect with your potential participants. You can use email and social media, again, using those networks and groups that you're already connected to. As a Work That Reconnects facilitator, you have access to the global Work That Reconnects community. And as Silvia described before, the Work That Reconnects network website can be a great place to promote your offerings. To be clear, as she was saying, being a facilitator on the website, that just means being registered with us as a facilitator or being listed with us. You can be a facilitator of the Work That Reconnects without being listed with us. But if you would like access to being able to post your events on our website and offer webinars through our webinar program and other features that we offer to our facilitator members, then you can apply to become a registered facilitator with us, or maybe you already are. And in that case, you can promote your event through that event listing. Even if you're not registered, you can connect with people through our social media pages, through our Facebook pages. So that is a way to be able to use the resources we offer without having to register. If you need some help with this, ask somebody that you know that's experienced with this. Make sure that you use inclusive language and imagery in all of your promotions so that everybody feels welcomed. And be sure to present your offering as clearly as possible and make it easy for people to register. Before you go ahead and make your offering, it's helpful to set up your survey form, your feedback form in advance so that it's all ready to go. And Google Forms is a really easy online tool to use for this. It's part of the Google Suite online that has, Google Docs and Google Sheets and all of that. One of the options is forums, where you can create a very simple survey. It's very easy to use, and that's a great way to just collect feedback from your participants to know how it was for them and what you could do better next time. Great, and so now, so that was a little overview of how to set it up. Now we're going to bring you into breakout rooms. So you're going to go into a room with 3 or 4 other people, or 2 or 3 other people, and share with them something new that you learned so far in the webinar, and then discuss any questions that you still have, anything that is like stirring around that you don't have an answer to yet, and see if you can answer those questions for each other. If you can't, then jot them down so that you can share them in the chat. We're going to come back after the breakout room and have about 5 minutes of question and answer for the whole group before we move on to the next thing. Okay, so are our breakout groups ready?
Yes, they are. So in a few seconds, you're going to be taken to breakout rooms. Just accept that. And if you have any questions, well, first, when you are in your breakout rooms, you can still open the chat. The chat is going to disappear suddenly, but you can open the chat again by just clicking the button. And you can ask questions from there. In the breakout rooms, you're going to see messages from me popping up saying how many minutes you have left. And once you finish, you're going to be taken automatically here. So you don't have to worry about coming back sooner. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Okay, and when we go to our breakout room, sometimes we like to run. Just go, go, go. Run to your breakout room, move your body, take a chance to just get your blood flowing a little bit.
We have everybody going, everybody leaving. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until they come back more. I think they're still. Yeah, now. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We have everybody. Just one more person. Perfect. We have everybody here.
Okay, great. So you might have some lingering questions from your group. So if you would like to ask a question, you can, again, where the participants list is, you can raise your hand there, press the little hand button, and or you can type something into the chat, and Silvia will help us find that. Just to let you know, this first half of the webinar, we're kind of going on the overview of the things that you can do. And the second half of the webinar, we're going to be going, Silvia will share her screen and go into the host view of Zoom, so you can start to see how to do all the stuff. So this first half is kind of the what, and the second half will be the how. So let's go ahead and hear Rita. I'm unmuting you for your question.
Hi. In our group, we just couldn't turn the sound on. It was a very simple technical issue, but there was a person in our group that was unmuted, but I don't think they could hear us. So I think they hadn't activated their permission, and they were on their phone. So are you able to lead us through how to do that on the phone? Because I know it's different to visually seeing it on the computer.
Right. So it is true that the phone features are quite a bit different, and it's hard to walk you through because every device is a little bit different. But generally on a phone or an iPad, to access those features that we're talking about, sometimes you have to swipe across to another screen. So you might see 3 dots on the bottom of your screen that shows you that there's multiple screens, and you swipe until you find what you're looking for, whether, you know, whatever features that is. Was this person able to hear us in the main call, but then they couldn't hear in the breakout room?
We weren't sure. It was hard to communicate because we couldn't.
Right. Right. Yeah. And sometimes it is simply really a matter of their device and their hardware. So it's, you know, sometimes the headphones or the computer permissions aren't activated. So it's a tricky one to troubleshoot from here.
I know
Yeah.
that also on the phone, like when you're on a Zoom call, it looks pretty similar. Like, and sometimes there's invisible icons at the bottom that come up,
Right.
but you need to like just tap it. It's not a swipe thing.
Right.
And that's where the microphone and stuff is. But I don't know. In terms of
Okay, so Patty is the one, and he said he could hear us, but not, but couldn't in the group chat. So, and again, I'm not sure what that could have been. That might be one of those tricky little technical things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see also other questions that are not related to this part, like how, if you can become a facilitator. I would suggest that you visit the Become a Facilitator page in the website. Read through that, and you can always write to us, and we will let you know. Okay.
Yeah, you can send emails to the admin email address, and we can answer from there. Okay, let's get a question from Burku from Turkey. I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. So I have many questions actually, but I will only share one, which is I really feel the need of listen to the beings, so create a council of all beings.
Mm-hmm.
But is it possible creating that online? Any experience of that? And how can we go on to share our experience and be in a support?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Excellent
thank
question.
you.
That question is actually going to be really addressed in the next webinar, where Constance and Mutima will be walking you through how to adapt practices to the online setting. And Silvia and I have experienced the Council of Being online through the Facilitator Development Program, and it actually is totally possible and wonderful. So yeah, please attend that webinar to get more of that kind of how do you do it with the practices. I'd love to take one more question. Can we do that, Silvia?
Yes, there are some questions here that belong to the webinars and cafes that we're going to offer at the end, so we will not respond right now.
Okay.
If you want to take another one from the hands.
Yeah, let's listen. Let's hear a question from Kurt in Oakland.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I see that several people have asked the same one, and I want to say hi to Stefan Berkeley. That's the breakout rooms, how to actually do that. I mean, it's such a fabulous thing to be able to do, and I so appreciate it when I'm on the call, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, so when you're the host, you'll get to see a whole bunch of different features that you don't get to see when you're just the participant. And when we move into the second half of this call after our dance break, Silvia is going to show us how to do that type of stuff. There's actually a very detailed explanation of how to create a breakout room in the second half of the webinar.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah,
thanks.
Great.
Excellent. So we're going to move on to the next part of the overview. And Silvia is going to take us on a PowerPoint adventure.
Can you see that?
Yep, looks great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next part is how to run when you have already planned and organized your webinar. So when you are running the online offering, some of the recommendations is log in at least 15 minutes before start time. And I will add something to this. There is a feature that I'm going to show you once we do the practical part of the second part of this webinar, where you can actually decide whether people are going to be in a waiting room, which is what we did with you in this time. The reason is that if you log in 15 minutes before, but you haven't set that up, you may find that people are already there, which is very distracting if you're a facilitator. Another thing is adjust the settings. So mute everybody when they come in, so you can control who speaks and who doesn't, because if you have a lot of people, it's really messy and very noisy. and make sure that the chat and the screen share settings are already set up. For example, if you're going to share a website or a PowerPoint, have it open prior to the webinar so you're not scrambling in the middle of the webinar. Is when you have somebody else, and we highly recommend that you have somebody else to co-facilitate with you, at least at the beginning when you are starting doing this online, and having somebody who has technical skills as a tech support. And make sure that they are co-hosts. So if you are the host, if you are either the owner or you're using a Zoom, for example, if you're applying to this program that we mentioned before of the webinars and cafe programs, you will be using our Zoom. I thought that was one of the questions in there. So if you are the host, you will like the other people who are co-facilitating with you and the tech support to also be co-hosts so they can help you. You can create also a green room, which is a separate room when you do the breakout rooms, a separate room for you and your co-host and the tech person to go outside of the main room and, you know, have a conversation whenever you need to do something not in front of the participants. And make sure that you're set up to record correctly. There are different ways to do the recording. So you want to know when you want to run the recording again, when you want to pause it. When you are, for example, right now we are recording. So there are moments when we start it again. There are moments when we pause, depending on what we want to show. And get centered and connect with your breathing and purpose for the offering. This is one of the main things when you start a webinar, because anything can happen. You know, technology is not really something that we can control. And these days, because Zoom is being used and any other technologies, and we're just using Zoom because it's the most available right now, but any technology at this moment is being overused because of the pandemic. So you will have sometimes glitches and you may disconnect. So that will happen. So centering, connecting with your purpose, and relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Can I add to that, Silvia?
Yes.
Okay, so a couple of things that came up when Silvia and I were talking about this after we created the PowerPoint is to make sure that you have a good stable internet connection and work out those glitches so that you can feel confident that that's going to happen. And then to make sure to take really good care of your physical needs before you sit down. Because once you're in front of the computer screen to lead a 2-hour webinar or whatever, you're going to be stuck there for that time. So make sure the temperature of the room is the right temperature. You didn't turn the heat up too high or too low, and you know, halfway through the webinar you're sweating. Or, you know, make sure you have your water or your tea, you've gone to the bathroom, whatever you need to do to be able to stay present and focused. And then another thing is I notice a lot of people really have a hard time seeing themselves in a video, and that it can be very distracting. So they might, you know, be fussing with, oh, my hair, oh, how does it look? So just get yourself comfortable with how you look and then let it go and get present and do the work. And don't let yourself get distracted by how strange it looks to see yourself talking.
Yeah, and talking about letting go and about the times that we're living is remember that you are human. Mm-hmm. So people these days are, you know, everybody's in their houses with their family, with their pets, with their kids, you know, so there will be noises, there will be situations where it doesn't look that professional or that fine like you were dreaming, but that's completely normal. And we were talking about that with Joe, that this is actually making us more human. So thank you, Joe, for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you start with your webinar, always start with a warm welcome to make people feel welcome and safe. And do a tech orientation. So if you notice in our webinar, we started with a tech orientation almost at the beginning, so people feel comfortable and know how to use the different features. And remind them that technology is never perfect. So we will do our best, but sometimes we just can't help everybody to connect. Sometimes it's, like Joe said before, it's a matter of the device that you're using or your connection. Letting them know that you will reach out, you know, and that, how to reach out to you and how to get tech support if they need. In most webinars, this one is very, you know, this one that you're attending right now is more on the educational side. But if you're running a webinar where you really want to concentrate on what you're doing, have a tech support person and have some kind of backup, how people can connect with them via email, via WhatsApp, or a phone number. So if somebody disconnects or has many issues, you're not distracted by that. And let people, if you plan to be recording the webinar, let people know even beforehand, before they start the webinar. So when you send your communication, let them know what is going to happen so people can prepare for that. Give them the option to stop the video. They can put other things there. If people have accounts, they can actually put their faces or can put any landscape or something beautiful there. And ground yourself and center yourself. So something similar to what Joe was saying before about connecting to yourself when you start the webinar.
And that grounding and centering is for the whole group. So after you've given the tech orientation and everybody's like, oh, I figured all this out, I figured all that out, then you can say, okay, now we're going to start and help everybody get together like you would, you know, maybe stand in a circle and hold hands at the beginning of your workshop. Can't do that here. So just remember to do those steps even though you're online still.
Also, this is good practices, you know, when you're dealing with adults, is they want to know how long is going to be the webinar, what is in the agenda, what they're going to learn, and what they're going to experience, if there will be breaks. So it's a good idea to tell them that at the beginning. And make sure that the core of your program is interactive. So you can do that in many ways. Visual aids like PowerPoints, videos, sharing screens, you know, doing different things, not just you talking all the time. The breakout rooms, as you saw, is a very good tool that Zoom has. I don't know about any other technology that has that opportunity to do breakout rooms in that way. And follow those breakout rooms with large group sharing. Chat polls, verbal sharing, journaling when you're dealing with groups where you're touching on heavy emotional subjects, do a lot of journaling as well, and then sharing again. Movements and breaks. So there are many different ways to make it interactive and engaging.
Mm-hmm.
And when you close your webinar, usually we want to tell the participants what are the next steps. So not letting them, you know, on the dark. So invite them to any other offering that you have planned, how to connect, follow up with promises that you made during the webinar. So if you decided that you were going to do recordings, sharing materials, contacting them, etc., actually do that, and do that within 24 to 48 hours. So you know, the momentum is there. As Joe mentioned before, when you're planning, you have already a survey that you're going to share with them. You always want to collect feedback. And make sure that everybody knows how to communicate with you if they have questions after the webinar. At the end of every webinar, it's also a good idea to have a question and answer and reserve some time for participants to actually do that with you during the webinar. So this is more about a visual of what we just say. So follow up via email with your participants. Thank them and share follow up. So the follow up that you have promised, the survey, and the next steps of what happens after this webinar. And post a video recordings. Some people may decide to make it public. Some people may decide to make it private with a password. And you can use Vimeo or YouTube for that. So here's some troubleshooting, things that could happen. You know, a lot really can happen during a webinar. The worst case scenario is that you are in the middle of the facilitation and your internet fails. So anything can happen. So, so just breathe, you know, just breathe. There is a lot of high anxiety around that. So just, you know, remember that, you know, you're a human and you're dealing with other human beings, and that we are in a very unprecedented time right now. So everybody is really very tolerant about what could happen. If any problems arise, it's better to just slow down and actually acknowledge them, to be authentic about what is going on with your participants. Have a backup plan. So if something goes wrong, have a backup plan with your participants. In this case, for example, when I'm talking, Joe is connected with me via WhatsApp, and we also have opened the for the Reconnects Gmails. So if anybody has any issues, we can check that you know, they disconnected or they have some issue with the connection. Have participants' emails and Zoom links handy. So if somebody goes out and you had to send quickly the Zoom link again, you can do that. And print your agenda. So either you print your agenda or have your agenda in another device where you can see it, because when you are presenting, like for example, right now, I can only see my PowerPoint and a very little strip with some of the faces, but not all the faces, and I cannot see the chat, I cannot see any of that. So having the agenda somewhere else is very helpful. So this is something that Joe and I found very funny about what actually happens with people when they're in Zoom. And that may help you to relax. So if you can see the actual meeting content when you're in a meeting in Zoom is 2%. So we have things like, oh my gosh, why didn't I take a shower?
Maybe if I just move the camera up a little higher, or
yeah, look at my neck, you know, oh, I have something here that shouldn't have, and you know, those kind of things. So this is for you to kind of laugh a little bit and relax about what exactly happens with Zoom. Okay. And we are going to share this PowerPoint, so don't worry, you will have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will have another time for breakout rooms again, something new that you have learned during this short presentation and so far, and the questions that you still have. So answer them for each other, okay? If not, save them for the whole group that we're gonna have afterwards, the same as we did before.
Great. And we're going back into those same rooms that you were in before, so you'll see your new friends.
There you go. So the rooms are open now again.
Okay, let's run. Let's move our bodies. Let's get over there to our breakout rooms.
Let's run.
Bye, have fun.
Okay, so I'm recording again.
Welcome back. Is everybody back yet, or are we still waiting?
Let me see. We have 49 people. I think we have everybody back.
Great.
Because some people left before. I don't know if they lost connection.
Okay, great. So hopefully you had a good connection with your breakout group people, and now we have an opportunity to ask a couple questions to the whole group. I'm going to just answer a general question first that I see a couple people asked it in a couple different ways, but like, when would you record? Why would you record? Would you record an experiential Work That Reconnects workshop? Not necessarily. You only record if it's appropriate to what you're doing, and it's something that is going to serve your participants, and only if you have their permission, and only if you've communicated how that's going to be shared. So something like this is an educational resource. So it makes sense to have it be recorded and accessed. If you were doing an like an ongoing group, like the facilitator development program that we've participated in and support, they record all those sessions, because sometimes somebody can't make one of the webinars, and they get to watch the recording instead of attending live, but it's only shared with those people who are in the group. So, there's different situations where you would make different decisions about that. Okay, so let's have a couple questions from the group. I see Andrew has their hand up, so I'm going to unmute you, Andrew, from Woodage. Oh, there you go. So you can ask your question.
Hey.
Hello.
Firstly, thank you. We've really enjoyed the thoroughness of this webinar so far, so thank you. Our question was, in a teaching or workshop situation, we usually like to check in on different groups and have a, see how every group is going. And we're wondering, is it possible as a facilitator to be stepping into each of these breakout rooms and check in?
That's such a good question, and it is such a good feature, actually, especially for this kind of thing. Like you said, if you're live, you would normally do that. So yes, the hosts can pop into any group they want to at any point in time. If you're going to do that, I highly recommend letting them know that you're going to do that beforehand, because they'll be like, whoa, how'd you get here? So yeah, you can do it at any point. A question that came up yesterday about that, once we let them know that you could do that, they said, well, can you see what we're saying in there if you're not in there? And no, it's what is happening in there is not visible to the host unless they pop in. So yes, you can pop in, but no, you can't see what's going on all of your conversations that you just had. We don't know what you said. They were private. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Okay, so let's hear from Sefa in Berkeley. I'm going to unmute you. Sefa, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah?
I can.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful. Hi.
Hi. So thanks for the tips about having backup plans if internet connection fails. And what I was wondering is, if you're the host and your internet connection fails, does it close down the meeting for everyone else? Or can you somehow reconnect and they're still in the room?
That is a good question. And that depends on your settings when you set up the meeting. Is that correct, Sylvia? Do you want to answer that question?
Yes, and also one of the reasons we recommend to have at least one co-host is because when you have a co-host, the other person can take over. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it would be really too bad that the two people not located in the same place also, the internet cuts for both of them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Moshe asked, how do we pop into those breakout rooms? And so that's something Silvia will kind of show as we go in there. But there's an option where it shows you when you're inside the host feature, how you can do that. And okay, and let's see, can you create a co-host as a personal Zoom account? Silvia, do you want to say anything about the difference between the personal and the pro and the features?
Maybe when we go into when we go to the practical, which is the second part of after the break. So yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, so I think we're going to have the break now. The break is going to be a dance break, optional. So we're going to play a music video and I'll share my screen. So nobody's going to see you dancing. You can do whatever you want to do in your room. It'll only show the video. You can get up and go to the bathroom, get some more water, do whatever you need to do. It's going to be 5 minutes. This is a music video from one of my favorite artists. He is an indigenous man from Turtle Island here. He's Apskaluki. And his stage name is Superman. Some of you might know him. He's really fantastic rapper, and we're just going to get a chance to listen a little bit to him.
And you can do anything during these 5 minutes. You can dance, you can go to the washroom, you can make a tea, anything except going away. We want you to come back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely come back because we've got all the how-tos coming next. Okay, here we go.
Oh. We need a miracle. Spirit of the ghost dance. Light up this prayer grass in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life. A miracle. Spirit of the ghost dance. Light up this prayer grass in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life.
Hey, yo, all around the world, my sisters and my brothers hurt. So let's hope this hurt for the heartbeat of Mother Earth. I say a prayer and put it down for what it's worth. For those who oppose to only see color first. For my two sons, my daughter and wife, and the father of lights, I started the fight. Started in mics, ready to die like a martyr tonight. With my fist in the sky, saying water is life. And yo, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. This is treaty land. We see these scams. Hey yo, we know the facts. Evil collapses and cowers in fear. The hour is near. Let the world unite with the power of prayer. Yeah, a family rise, defy gravity. We gon' keep on rhyming and climbing and shine happily. A masterpiece. Put my whole body glistening. Hey yo, we still here. Is there anybody listening? From Flint, Michigan to my Egyptian friends, Minnesota, all around the world. Are you listening?
We need a miracle. Spirit of the ghost saints. Light up this prayer that's in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life. A miracle. Spirit of the ghost saints. Light up this prayer that's in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life. The walking thonker, we in the valley of the beast with these wicked monsters. When we trying to keep it peace, then they take us under. Is it better or beretta underneath my bomber? We was pleading to the governors and the Obamas. We ain't need one alive, just some clean water. Just a little bit of life for our sons and daughters. If a penny for your thoughts, then I'm throwing quarters. Cause they never think about all the people poorer. Only rich and the white get the right to water. If we vote or if we fight, we becoming martyrs. Throwing federal charges and Lakota lawyers. I salute the true courage of our red warriors. Against our laws, my people pushing forward. Wish we had them at the pilgrims at the border. With a travel ban, pushed them back into the water. Put a sign up on the rock saying don't lauder. Or maybe a tall wall would have been in order. Cause we gave them liberty and they gave us slaughter. No land of the free for my forefathers. Now we're praying for miracles with tobacco offers. To a power that's higher than any man-made office. As the prophecy unfolds, there's no wins and losses. God trumps all self-proclaiming bosses. In the end, when they squandered all the earth's resources, they will learn that their children cannot eat their coffers. We need a miracle. Spirit of the ghost saints. Light up this prayer grass in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life. A miracle. Spirit of the ghost saints. Light up this prayer grass in my hand. Take it to the most high. We need a blessing tonight. Stand by our side as we fight. Screaming out, water is life.
Welcome back, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
Why you're sorry? No, we're okay.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the break. We're gonna go to the practical part right now. I just want to address some of the things that I have seen going on in the chat. So in the follow-up email, we're gonna let you know we are working on creating a forum where everybody can get there and exchange, any resources, and those of you who have more experience, maybe mentors for others, or you can arrange for co-facilitating, etc. So don't worry, that is gonna come very soon. Okay, so let's breathe 1 second again. And I'm going to start sharing the practical side of, how to create this. So I'm going to start here with Zoom. Somebody was asking about the different options. So I'm not going to go into detail into this because you can also see that, and we can put that in the follow-up. But Zoom has a free basic account that allows you to run up to 40 minutes and up to 100 participants. Yes, you can have a co-host. Yes, you can have breakout rooms and raising hands. So you can see all the different options here. But what is limited is the amount of time and the amount of participants. So you also have pro accounts, business accounts, etc., that will give you some other capabilities. I'm not going to go into detail for that. I'm just going to share that usually the pro, which is the one that we have in the word Reconnects, allows you for a lot of things. And one suggestion that we make to the participants is that you can share an account because you pay the same whether you use it or not. So you can decide, for example, many of you can decide on putting together and creating one account for all of you. Or if you are part of the program, the webinar and cafe program, you're going to be using our Zoom account. You don't have to pay for that. Okay. So the other thing I want to share is, let me see if I'm in the right place here. Okay, of my dog. She really likes to walk when I'm talking. Okay, so when you are in,
Silvia.
Sure.
Sorry. Just with what you were just speaking to, it's Teresa from the Yukon. If the network is setting things up so there could be some shareability of that Zoom account, is it not possible, given that we are organized as a network, to consider possibly whichever of the plans makes sense, either the pro account, and you can actually choose a larger number of hosts, but perhaps because there's the bioregional groupings, maybe there's a way that the network could get a Zoom account and have at least a dozen hosts, and that could be part of what's provided through the network.
Yeah, so Teresa, we're not going to go into those details right now because of the type of webinar, but thank you for sharing that. We will set up actually a forum where we can have conversations about how to address this as a group, as a network. So that's welcome, that you share that there. So, but for now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the webinars and the cafe program. It's not necessarily going to be sharing the account. It's more about we providing all the support and the platforms for you to deliver your facilitation programs, etc. Right? So you don't have to worry about the support, the technical part and registration, etc. So going back to the account, once you have an account, so you can have an account that is free, or you can have a pro account or different type of accounts. Once you are inside of the account, one thing that I'm going to show you right now is here how you organize meetings. And we usually work with meetings which they have meetings and webinars. I'm not going to go into the detail about that. We usually organize the webinars as meetings because the functions are very similar when you are in there. So when you schedule a new meeting, I'm going to show you the different options that you have. So you obviously can name the meeting and put some details about what is the meeting about. And then you select the date, the time, the length of that meeting here. And you can decide whether it's a recurring meeting. For example, if you have a grief circle that you run, every week or every month, so you can have a recurring meeting. And then you select whether you want people to register, which will take care a little bit of, you know, but something posted there, I think was Rebecca, about somebody hacking, you know, the Zoom when it was happening and, you know, having to finish the call. I think, you know, there's things that we actually cannot control. Those are part of the things that, you know, may happen when we are using technology more these days when technology is being used so much, sorry. But having a registration force here allows you to control who actually is registering and seeing if the emails are, you know, real emails and actually communicate with people and collect things from people. This is one option that you will have. Then you can, as you can see, the meeting can have a password, okay? They generate usually meeting IDs on their own, or you can use your personal meeting. I don't recommend this feature here because once somebody has this, they have it forever, which means that they can come and meet with you when you are in the middle of other things. So we usually recommend that you generate an automatic, which is a different number every time. The other thing, sorry, I needed to talk to my dog. So you can decide here whether you will allow people to register via telephone, sorry, to get to your meeting via telephone, computer, audio, or both. And this is where you decide what you do, you know, with people, whether you want people to be in the waiting room or whether you want people to join before you, if you're going to record automatically. You can change some of these settings while you are in the meeting, but it's recommended that you do it beforehand. There are other settings that you can set up here where you can decide, for example, in these settings, you can decide what kind of phone numbers are going to come from what countries, if you know beforehand when, you know, where the people are, we're going to connect with you. And here is where you can have the recordings, the cloud recordings, if you're not recording in your computer. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into detail for that, mainly the meeting part right now. Okay, so what I'm missing here, I'm gonna stop this for a second.
It looks like Teresa might have another question.
Yes.
Thanks, Joe. If you might put that screen back up, Sylvia. I actually just did a little tutorial with somebody from Zoom, and I just wanted to see if you're familiar with, on the screen that you were showing, it talked about a Google plugin.
Okay, so yeah, if you, yeah, I'm not going to go back. The reason is I'm very, very concerned about the time. Okay. So what I suggest, because I know some of you actually have a lot of knowledge about running online workshops. So my suggestion, the forum that we're going to create, one of the functions of that forum is actually to create a space where you can safely connect with each other. And some of you who have more knowledge may be able to mentor others. And I'm not talking about just the technical knowledge, but also experience with the work that Reconnects and running things online that are not educational. Okay? So I'm going to share another piece here.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
It's okay, and I understand if we were in a longer webinar, I will address that and I will allow more participation, but we have 40-something people, so I'm really concerned about the timing. Okay, so I'm going to share now in the PowerPoint some of the features that you may not be able to see when you're a participant. So that will allow you to see some of you were asking, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I'm gonna share that with you right now. Okay, so we're back here. Okay, so I'm gonna share some of these things may be very basic for some of you if you have used Zoom before, but I want to show you certain things, how they're gonna look like when you are organizing. So when you log in, when you start your meeting, you will see something like this where you can choose open the Zoom meeting. Okay. And when you are the host or the co-host, you will see these different, so this, if you look at your own bar, the bottom bar in your screen, and you look at these ones, they look a little bit different. So you have options. For example, you can invite people. Right now, you probably can invite people as well as a participant. That is actually that we decide in the settings. So when you have a Zoom account or you manage a shared Zoom account, make sure that you know what is in the settings and that the settings that are really working the way that you want them to work. Because there is where you allow participants to do things like inviting other people or sharing their own screen and things like that. So, so you have invite, so if somebody is outside of the meeting, they didn't receive the Zoom and they want to join in, you can click on that and you will have the URL and the full invitation with the phone numbers. You can manage the participants here. Here is where you click and see the options. For example, how many participants are, raising their hand or voting yes or no, etc. And you can also manage participants in many other ways. So not just this, but you also can click on the 3 dots of any participant that you want to do something with them. So there are different things that you can do for a participant. For example, you can stop the video of a participant, you can chat with that participant, you can rename them, pin the video in a particular place. So they are static in your computer, in your screen. You can spotlight the video, you can obviously mute them, you can make them host or co-host, you can allow them to record the meeting for you, you can remove them if they are being, like what happened to Rebecca. So if somebody is really being in the wrong place, you can actually remove somebody, okay? And you can also put them in the waiting room. So if for whatever reason you didn't put that in the beginning when you plan your meeting, and then suddenly you show up and there are 100 participants waiting, right there, you can actually put all of them in the waiting room to have some time for yourself. The polling, we didn't use the polling that much in this one. We actually didn't use it at all, but allows you to actually create questions and poll people beyond the yes and no and the raising hands. Obviously, the sharing is for sharing a screen. The chat, you already know how to use it. The record, and here's the breakout rooms. Yes.
Just on the screen sharing, that little arrow that goes up next to it, that little carrot there, that gives you screen share settings so that you can make sure that participants can't share their screen if that's not what you want them to do. Because sometimes people do it by accident. So you're in the middle of doing your thing and then somebody's screen pops up.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a place where you have settings.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you are screen sharing, well, you see that as a participant from your side, but this is what the host sees as well. So the host sees something very similar to you. So they see what they're sharing and they see the stream, on the side. You can also move that stream to the bottom or anywhere else if you want to highlight something. Another thing here is where you see, so for example, this one here was taken from you today, as you can see. So it just took the screenshot from today. You some of Teresa, you're there, and Moshe. So you can see what I see as a host, and Joe, you're there, and me. So, so you can see what I see as a host. So if you see on the top, I can see who is recording, who has the hands on. I can see how many yeses and how many nos. Can you see that, all of you?
Mm-hmm.
And you see other functions. You can mute everybody, unmute everybody. You have more functions there. You can. Participants also have the option to tell you to go faster and slower, etc. Okay. So that's what the host sees in their computers. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so Right. That was an additional one that I just made, while you were talking. So when you click on the breakout rooms, this is what you will see. So in this particular case, you see the Alex System room will be replaced. Ida, please stop walking. Sorry, that was my dog. So all the existing rooms will be replaced because there were existing rooms already. So you can decide to recreate all of them if you had a different arrangement and you want to mix the people differently. And you can do that automatically or manually. And you decide how many rooms you want and how many participants you want. So you will have also, when you decide to break up rooms, you can decide to move all participants into a breakout room automatically. You can decide that not to do that. So when you don't do that, they have to actually accept. So sometimes that is more difficult because participants don't see the pop-up and they don't know how to get there. You can allow participants to return to the main session at any time if they want, or you can decide, no, I'm not going to allow anybody. You can decide how many minutes beforehand, or you can do what I did with you, which is broadcasting messages and deciding when you're going to close that. Okay. And also you can set up the countdown. When you are in your breakout rooms, when you click on that, this is also what you see when nobody has been assigned. So there is the automatic assignment, which is completely random, but if you want to assign people to very specific, let's say that you have different interests or different regions, then you can start assigning. So that's why it's so important to have somebody with you, because if you're facilitating and you also have to do these, you're gonna go nuts, right? And unless unless you have a group of 4 people, then otherwise it's very, very messy. So we recommend to have somebody doing this on the background.
So here in that spot there, you can, when you click on assign, a list of names is going to come up, and then you can choose, okay, I want these 4 people in room 1. You can also name the rooms. So if it's like, Western Australia is one of them, and you put everybody on the West Coast in there. This is also the place where you can pop in, where you can choose to join different rooms.
And then I think we're gonna see that in the next one. So in the no, it doesn't show, but in this one you can see the people already. But you see this number here. If this was alive, I will have here, when people go to the rooms, I will have here a join instead of a 3. And so that allows me as a host to go into the room, have a conversation with them, or if they need help, and then go out to the main room again. So you don't lose control as a host. You just pop into the room and then come back. Okay, it's very funny the first time that you do it. It looks like you're teletransporting yourself or something like that. Okay, and I think that part is done. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so things like recording the webinar, I think we cover all that. So I'm going to stop now, and Joe is going to lead you.
Okay, so I'm going to just do a short announcement here about the webinar and cafe program that we're going to be offering through the network, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So any questions you have about that or anything else from the website, from the webinar, this is the kind of like final question and answer time after this announcement. So we have been working behind the scenes to create a webinar and conversation cafe program that was supposed to come out this spring, and we were kind of like slowly working our way up to it. We put it out in the newsletter, so some of you might be aware of that. But with the onset of the global pandemic and the urgent need to get everybody online very quickly, we've kind of expedited that. And so Silvia and I have been busy kind of trying to get all of our ducks in a row and make sure all of the technical pieces are in place so that we can do this. So it will be coming out very, very soon. And what it is for people who are registered as facilitators on the website. So to be clear, that doesn't mean you don't have to be registered on the website to be a facilitator. Hopefully all of you know that the Work That Reconnects is an open source practice, and that anybody can facilitate Work That Reconnects groups with no certification, no registration. We are not saying that you have to be registered, but as the network, we have an organization that's created a kind of support system for people, a website where you can be listed and people can find you. And so if you are registered with us, this offering is going to be available for you to be able to facilitate. Participants can be anybody. Anybody in the world can participate in these webinars and cafes. But if you would like to lead your own, facilitate your own webinar, or lead your own cafe, you can apply, submit a proposal, and then we'll receive that and kind of figure out how it could fit in with the schedule, and then do the work behind the scenes for you and with you. So if you decided you wanted to lead a webinar and we accepted the proposal, fit it into the schedule, then we would support you with the promotions. We would list your event online and share it through the Facebook groups and really help you get the word out. And then we would also provide tech support. So one of us, probably either Silvia or I, or maybe one of the other staff members, would be there with you when you facilitate your webinar. And we would be that backup person for you, doing the chat and doing all the background stuff.
Yeah. We're also doing that. Sorry, Joe.
It's okay.
Yeah, we're also doing that for the network, to support the network and to support you in this time. So that means that if you can decide whether your webinar is going to be free or, gift economy like this one that we are offering. And a percentage of that is obviously is going to be for you. So that's part of, a support, and in these times that so many people are actually losing their earning capability because they cannot do things in person.
Great. Yeah, so the resource that it is for registered facilitators is an opportunity to use the platform and connect with the 5,000 people around the world who receive the newsletters, to practice facilitation skills, to maybe get a certain kind of content out. You might be doing something specific, a niche kind of Work That Reconnects piece. And so this gives you the opportunity to kind of try those things out, connect with the other people in the network. The other opportunity here is to facilitate a cafe, a conversation cafe. So in addition to like the webinar platform, you can also say, I would like to host a conversation about this particular topic. And then people can come and you can put them into breakout rooms and they can have this kind of conversation. So it's less of you teaching, and it's more of holding space and creating an opportunity for people to have these kind of conversations. Silvia.
Yes, and obviously we're doing this because we want you to be able to be independent. If you don't want to apply or propose a cafe or a webinar, you can completely do this on your own using these technologies and the practices and the resources that we're going to put in the website, or that are already in the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So the webinar and cafe program is one specific thing that you could plug into, but this webinar here is to support you so that you could do anything. You could do that, or you could do your own independent things with your own communities that you don't need to submit any proposals for. You can just go ahead and do them. So I'm going to open it up for questions now, and we'll do same as we did before. If you have a question, you can click on the raise hand. Or you can type it into the chat, and we'll have just about 10 or 15 minutes to address any lingering questions.
I'm going to answer one that is right here, Joe.
Great.
Can you do the assignment of the breakout rooms in advance? No, not that I'm aware of, because you won't know who actually shows up until you are in the webinar. So once you're in the webinar is when you can open that and assign people in different places. That's one of the reasons you really need somebody else, or you manage a very small group.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, people have to actually be logged in for you to put them in a room. And so if somebody loses their connection, they're going to pop out of the meeting and then they're going to come back. Then you have to go and manually put them into a room because they're only in there if they're logged in.
So Richard Swan has a question.
Great. I'm unmuting you, Richard. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, everybody. Well, the offering of technical support sounds really, really valuable. Thank you for thinking of that and sharing your gift in that way. Just wondering what your idea on timeline is. When are you hoping to see this all come together? And yeah, what are you thinking?
That's an excellent question because there are still a couple of tasks that we have to take care of. But I think that we should be able to put the applications out. Like you'll have access to be able to submit your proposals, I'm hoping within the week. Silvia, does that seem realistic? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Within a week? Within a week?
Yeah, for them to be able to submit applications.
We have the meeting. Remember, we have the special gathering this weekend.
Yes.
So we have a gathering online actually. So no, I would say 2 weeks.
2 weeks possible. Okay. Yeah. So the answer is as soon as humanly possible. And once that is out there, then of course we'll have to kind of receive applications and create a schedule. So as far as the webinars going live, it will be another couple weeks out from that probably.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is use these 2 weeks. If you are not in the website, check what it means to be a facilitator. We didn't decide that. That was actually decided by Joanna and a committee of experienced facilitators. So you can look at that. And if you think that you can apply, just apply because you can be approved really fast and then you can submit the proposals. Mm-hmm. There's a question here also about the chats, the forum. I think that we're talking about the chats to be open for everybody, not just facilitators, because it's going to be a different offering from the website. So, but I'm not super sure about that yet. But I think so. I think the idea is to have actually a safe space where emerging facilitators and experienced facilitators can meet and can create conversations by region, etc. And that we are also thinking in 1 or 2 weeks.
Great. Okay. It looks like Betul from Turkey I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I've unmuted you.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much for this great meeting. It actually gives me quite a lot of courage to start what I want to start in Turkey.
Great.
It's actually not the Joanna Macy's work is not really well known in Turkey yet, so I don't know it's right place to ask this question, but where to start? I mean, I did few workshops before, and in people, in real people, and now we are on this, the online platform even, and really where to start is my biggest issue right now.
Can I answer that, Joe? So we usually, we have an entire page that has all the, tips of, how to start, where to start. And what I find that also helps people to start with, what is closer to your heart. For example, at this moment, you can start with either a study group online for the books, that are the foundation of the work that we connect. So Active Hope, is one of the main books to start with, or you can start with grief circles, right? Which is another way, and is not as difficult as going through the spiral and studying all the concepts. But I'm going to post here for everybody the becoming a facilitator that gives you some more tips.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, and just to reaffirm there, start with what's close to your heart. So that you probably have people in your life who are facing this moment right now who could really use your presence and your support. And the best thing that I've learned, and of course you'll get more of this if you go to Constance and Mutima's webinar, but the best thing that I've learned through this is that people really just need space to express themselves and to feel their own feelings. And so it can be very simple to create that space. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, I also put the training videos that Joanna created. I put that in the link. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I see that Ina has her hand on. You're welcome. Ina has her hand on.
Yes. So got a question, I guess, to anyone experienced with facilitating webinars about the recommendation to go maximum 2 hours makes makes really good sense for attention span, yet 2 hours for the work that reconnects is not much really. So yeah, I guess just if anyone wanted to share anything, like I've had ideas of going like, or a friend of mine even saying, well, you could probably fit sort of 3 1.5 hour sessions, and really have a lunch break and really have a like, oh, now go take yourself for a 15-minute walk. And actually, like I've just canceled 3 one-day workshops. So, kind of one, or do you sort of go 2 hours one weekend, next weekend, and then sort of, I guess that feels harder for people to commit to. So yeah, just any thoughts on that? Be welcome.
Yeah, I think all what you say is true. So giving people breaks, and spacing from one practice to the other one. We're actually the network, those of us who are in the network with the weavers and the staff, we were going to meet for the first time in person. Because of what happened, with the pandemic, obviously we're not doing that. So we're going to have a 3 full days of World that Reconnects together online. So it's doable. So yeah, but I think what you suggested, Ina, is actually what, is perfect, having breaks, giving people things to do in between, like, having a walk on, nature and having a lot of rituals that are completely possible to do online. I have been in amazing online workshops with rituals. So I think what Joe mentioned before about attending to Mutima's and Constance's training next week, which is specifically how to do that online. So it's not about it's not for people who doesn't know anything about the World of Reconnects. It's for people who may know already the World of Reconnects, but they are wondering, how do you do that online? So those are the next week. And they are planning actually to have a demonstration videos. So the training first, and then we're going to be doing some demonstration videos so people can actually watch that and see how it's done.
Yeah. And definitely, like you said, taking those breaks, maybe creating a similar structure that you would in an online, in a in-person scenario, but just really being more mindful to long breaks or to like guided breaks, like go journal and then go walk and then come back and yeah.
Okay, I think we need to go into the closing now because of the time, unless you want to take a last question.
Well, Maya is typing in the chat here, how can we get our hands on the books? So if you go onto the website in resources, you'll see links to all of the books. There's the basic books, and then there's also videos that are connected to them. So there's a lot of resources there on the website. Great. Okay, so we have shared with you several times during the call about the workshop that's coming up about how to adapt Work That Reconnects practices to an online setting by Constance Washburn and Mutima Imani. That's going to be on April 7th and April 9th. In our follow-up email to you, we're going to provide a link to that. So if you haven't already signed up, then it'll be right there, easy for you. If you want to go right away and get the link, you can go onto the website under events and you'll see it there. we highly recommend it, especially if you've been doing this in person and you want to transition onto online. It's going to be a very valuable resource for you. Also, if you're not already signed up for the newsletter from the Work That Reconnects Network, we highly recommend that. We're going to be really sharing quite a lot of information coming forward. We always do, but more and more so. We'll be sharing the resources that we're developing for moving online. We'll be sharing information about the webinar program, and just all of the other things that are coming up as we move forward. So that's a great way to stay engaged and in touch with the network. And yes, in our follow-up email, we'll send resources connected to this workshop, to this webinar. So we'll send the recording of the webinar. We'll send the PowerPoint and notes. We're trying to develop a little document that has questions, common questions that have been asked and answers to them. And we're also going to share with you a PDF guide to leading groups online. It is not Work That Reconnects specific. It's more of a general how to lead groups online, but it's extremely thorough, really thoughtful, really well done. It's a really high quality resource from Jean Rewa and Daniel Hunter. And what organization are they from, Silvia?
They're from Training for Change, which is an organization for social justice training. So even when they're not Work That Reconnects, they share many of the values. So the guide is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll have a link to that in there, and also our feedback survey. So please fill that out so that we know how we did and how this was for you and what we could do better next time. Is there anything else, Silvia?
No, I'm trying to read the messages here, which are huge. One thing that we're gonna do is collect this chat. When you record, one of the things that you can do is collect the chat and actually respond in your follow-up to the participants. So that's what we're gonna try to do. So we may put some of these questions in the evolving page that we have in the Work That Reconnects website.
Great.
Okay, so.
All right.
This all so we can all say goodbye.
Yes. So let's.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the hands, and I don't know.
If you're not already on gallery mode, go ahead and click that. There's the little Rubik's Cube thing in the top right corner of your screen, so that you can see all the little squares of people, and then you can hold hands with each other.
Yeah, and I invite you. You will have to take a hand to do that. To unmute yourself, or I can unmute all of you and say one word that is alive for you right now, just all at once at the count of 3. So I'm gonna unmute all of you. Okay, one word, and some of you are mute. I don't know why I'm mute you.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.